Hello?
Hiya.
You alright?
I are.
I are. Look at this bike. Isn't it a beauty?
Just let me step away from there.
Isn't it a beauty?
I do like it, I've got to
I
say.
love this bike. But it's not about this bike today.
It's not about the bike, mate.
No, but I did spend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11...
You need to take your socks off.
8 hours stripping this bike down and putting it back together.
A naked bike?
Yeah, putting cameras and a sat-nav that we're reviewing at the moment, and what we're going to talk about today on, because I had all the panels off, I'm going to talk about this. This is the INNOVV Third Eye blind spot.
Blind stub?
So this is the INNOVV Third Eye blind spot system.
And that's your INNOVV camera by the side of it?
That's my INNOVV camera by the side of it.
This is what we're talking about?
Yeah. So that is the radar unit, and the radar unit beams out a signal, and what it does is the signal is like that, isn't it? And like that. And if something approaches you at a higher velocity than you're doing, so
like
if you're stationary, well, yeah. So if you're stationary and they're coming up towards you, it beeps. If you're riding along dual carriageway, motorway, something comes that way, something comes that way, higher velocity in that arc, it then beeps at you to tell you either is it behind you, you get both of them. Is it on the right, you get the right. For you it's the left, left, get the left. But it's the same system as the one that we've already reviewed, but there's a slight difference because that had a watch face, didn't it? And on the watch face it had the two bikes.
Oh, you had to fit it on your mirror, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yep, remember
so
that.
I fitted it as the watch face, but this one is the mirror mounts. So these mirror mounts are there. Now I've mounted them there, and I'm going to have to move them, I think, because I thought that it was the only flat space that I had to be able to stick them on, so that when I'm riding along, it's where I'm looking. But having ridden with them, I think they need to be in a little bit. They kind of need to be around here somewhere, or around here somewhere, or actually on the mirror. The unit, the only difference is that these things come out of the box. So out of the watch face, I'm pretty sure that wire comes in and screws in, then goes to the brains of the outfit. This one, these wires, they're really, really thin wires. They come out of the box. I think it's a brilliant system. I think the only thing I would have liked to have seen is some way that this wire disconnects from the box and is really small.
When
because
you talk about the box, are you talking about
the actual brains of the outfit that's hidden underneath.
Yeah.
So these go into a box that then takes the power off the battery. So a ground point and a positive point, and the other point is a switch live. So providing you've got those three, it'll work. And it takes all the information from that radar, puts it through the box and gives you the alerts either side. Audible alert as well as a visual alert. But when I was fitting it, because everything's back in here underneath the hump, right underneath outside, even if I open the hump you won't see it because it's all underneath, all wired in, channeled all the way along here. All these panels were off, it's all gaffer taped in alongside with all the cameras and everything, and then this side goes right up in between here and stuck there, and obviously the mirror version on the left hand side of the bike.
So can I just clarify then, the issue with sticking them where you've stuck them is you can't see the light very well.
I can see the light.
I can see the light!
I can see the light, but because it's I thought at an angle it'd be fine, but for me it needs to be more in your face. So it's about mounting it in a place that's better for you. Now if I had mirrors without all of this stuff...
So if we're looking now, before you carry on,
yeah,
and I'm in the sort of riding position that you're in, what you're saying is that is tilted too far down, because this is...
Yeah, but although you can still see it, it's like the watch face. When I was riding with the watch face, I've got it on the mirror stalk on my GSA, and I want that up front so it's alerting me without me having to look, because I thought initially when you're looking in the mirror that's when you see it, but that's not when you see it. You want to be alerted that there's something there without having to look, because there are occasions where you're looking in the mirror, oh there's something there, I can't go, but there are occasions where you're riding along and you want to know that something's coming to and fro, don't you?
So where are you going to fit it then? Where do you think you're going to fit it?
I think what I'm going to do is either fit it, I wanted to mount it here, but because they're so thin, which is good, they're so small and thin, that surface needs to, it won't stick on here. The plastic isn't, no matter what I do with alcohol wipes, that sort of stuff, it won't clean it up enough so it'll stick properly. And I've used different various 3M tapes and stuff after I sniffed it and recovered, you know, from the ecstasy.
You tried battery acid?
No.
Just
Either that or it's going to get stuck on the mirror, which is probably a better version. Or I might try sticking them either side of here, because this is a small bit, but it's relatively flat, and where I'm looking, my
right in your
view
eye
will
line,
come
isn't
to
it?
my eye line. So I'm thinking if I can get those wires to come either side of the sat nav there and just stick on there, that might be quite good. But it will take 10 seconds, because on this bike, what I've done is I have wired in a, so on this bike what I've done is there you go, so it started out, oh, it's flashing there. You missed it. However, what I've done on this bike is I've wired in a power hub, which is INNOVV again, and that power hub means that only the red and black wire goes to the battery, and then one wire goes to the switch live, and that gives you 5 feeds for 5 extra accessories without having to go onto your battery. So it almost removes the need to go to your battery and takes it all from this box. This unit, the Third Eye, took its feed from the red feed from the power hub, brilliant, ground to the ground of the bike, where I've selected a grounding point to put all of them, because it's only one grounding point for that box. But surprisingly enough, I thought this would take the live feed from the power hub, but it doesn't. You've actually got to connect that as well. So once that's connected, it works. The wires are a really good size, so you can feed them anywhere. These, as you can see on here, are tiny, aren't they? But because they're connected to the unit, the main brains of the outfit, they have to stay connected, and you have to feed it all the way through. And you kind of a little bit limited because of that metal unit, and it is a substantial unit. It's made of the same metal as the button of the dash cams. You know, it's solid metal. It's really well machined stuff, and I really like the fact that you've got one on each side. I've got used to the watch face on mine, but I like the thing on each side. So if you have a look at that one of those, Mark, I'll see if I can get it to work.
Replicate something. I'll try that again. Replicate something running at us really quickly. Oh yeah.
Now the light is really bright.
The light is bright.
But the light is really bright, isn't it? So, and again.
Yep. Nothing. Can you come quicker?
Yeah. Now, both of them were flashing at that time. Now, you see that the light is really quite bright, but I think that I've dimmed it down by angling it down. So I need to angle it up. So that's down to, you know, trying and seeing what's going on. So I guess if you want to know how to fit it, have a look at the last video, because I think we showed some of that, didn't we? Mm-hmm. The main unit down here, sorry Mark, to get you walk all over the place. This main unit, fortunately on the RTP, this is where all of the aerials and stuff went. So it's a natural mounting point there. You've got on the side here all of the degrees, and it does say between 10 and 20 degrees. But because this bike is a lot lower than the GSA, I've kind of just put it on where I thought it was right. And I thought what I'd do is, as I'm riding, if it doesn't indicate the right place and the right time, then it obviously needs adjustment, but it's working fine. It's really nice machined, I want to say aluminium, but I'm not sure, but real metal feel, real metal clamps as well, and you can fit it up in so many different ways because they provide so much in the box. I think it's a really good kit, and I think it's one of those kits, I know that some YouTubers hate it or don't understand the reason why it's there, but I think anything to keep us safe is a really good thing.
Wouldn't it be interesting if insurance companies took notice of things like that? You said, oh, I fitted a, you know, 3DI.
Yeah.
Is it 3DI? What's it called?
Third Eye.
Third Eye. I knew
Yeah.
there was a D in it somewhere. A Third Eye. I think things like that should be recognised when
Yeah.
you're trying to get insurance. You know, when you just say, "Oh, I've fitted a you know, an Akrapovic can to my bike," you know, and they go, "All right, then, okay."
Yeah.
You know, I've got data tool or some kind of tracking system. Interestingly, last time I was getting insurance, Monimoto came up as an option.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they are taking note slowly, but things like this are good. No matter what people say.
Yeah.
You know, people say, "Oh, you know, you still need to do your shoulder check."
Yeah, and of course you do. But cars are being made with it in the mirrors. Ducati Multistrada, is it?
For ages.
Got them in there. I think other makes are coming out with them in the mirror. It's no different, but it's like anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can fit it to older bikes, and it really works. And I was thinking, you know, I was talking about the beeping. The beeping isn't very loud. It is when the bike's not on. When you're riding, you can't really hear the beep. But where I found the beep to be really good, because I thought it would be really annoying, beeping all the time. Where I think that the beep is really good is when you're sat in traffic. Got your visor up, you're sat in traffic. Sometimes, like we all do, we drift off, don't we? We're thinking about different things, watching traffic. And when that beeps, it's really good. You know where things are coming from. It keeps you on your toes. I think it's really good. You can also get a bit of a discount by using the code that we'll put in the screen from INNOVV. So what's not to love?
While we're here, we've seen your rear camera, your INNOVV rear camera. Oh,
Yeah.
bang your camera there. And we'll just show you where the front camera's been fitted.
Yeah, although this video isn't about the cameras.
Absolutely
Because we've
not.
already done the K3 cameras, haven't
No, I'm just showing for perspective where your other camera is.
Yeah. Although, while we're
God,
talking,
you're so needy.
while we're talking about that, this is the INNOVV bracket for the camera, and I'm pretty sure it should be put up the other way because it's got INNOVV written on it. But when you put it on there, you can't get your Allen key in the top that way or long ways to do the bracket up, and it's really fiddly because the space is in there before you put the. So I've switched it round and put it the other way, and it seems to work a little bit better.
Anyway.
Well, the other way it sticks out too far. But Third Eye,
Third Eye, we're
gonna
like
go out and ride. I really like it. It's about 200 well, I think it's about 250. It might be a little bit more quid. It sounds a lot of money, but if that's the one thing that saves you when you're not really concentrating, because we're all riding and not concentrating sometimes, it's 250 quid well spent, isn't it? I think it's really good. So I think we ought to go out and have a bit of a ride.
Brilliant.
And talk you through it.
Let's go and have a ride.
So you join me out on the bike now on my 2015 BMW R1200 RTE, and you've seen that we fitted the INNOVV Third Eye blind spot detection system. Now, I've had this system on my GSA for a good couple of months now, and it's got the watch face, the round watch face, because they do it in two versions. They have a watch face version and they have the version that I've now got on the RT. So the watch face is all in one thing, so you can stick it on the dash, and I've got mine located on my mirror stalk on the right hand side, because I thought, well, that's going to be a great place to put it, because you're always going to be looking in the mirror to see and check your blind spots. In actual fact, I think I was a little bit wrong, so I need to locate that up to the front near the TFT so it's on show all the time. Now, where you've seen that we had fitted the indicators right and left for this blind spot system on the RT, I'd fitted them right over here. I think you might be able to see it, just above the mirror on each place, or on each side, sorry. But the thing that I found when I was out riding is, although it was working fine, the LEDs were illuminating when they should do, because it was at a slight angle, the LEDs weren't really angled to me at all. They were angled down towards the bottom of the bike, which caused a bit of an issue, because even though I could see they were working, one, my OCD was kicking in, it wasn't really neat. and 2, it wasn't in your face, so because I was having to look left and right to see the indicators come on. However, what I've done now is I've done a bit of jiggery pokery, and as you can see, when I look at the instrument cluster, on the left hand side I've got the left hand indicator, on the right hand side I've got the right hand indicator, and for me they are ideally located there, because what they're doing is they're actually showing me, well, they're actually pointing right at my eyes, and I didn't realise I'd done that. I thought I just wanted it pointed back to me, but in actual fact these LEDs are pointing right at my face, so that when they light up, even in this weather, we've been having some exceptional weather the last few weeks, and it is 12:35, so it gives you some idea of where the sun is, obviously up in the sky. However, it's behind me, and there is a car coming up behind me now. Oh, he's obviously slowed down, and then I've sped up, so it didn't register, because the blind spot detection system, it spits a radar, it emits like a zone behind your bike in a bit of a cone shape, and it picks things up in that cone that is coming towards you at a greater velocity that you're doing. So you could be on a dual carriageway in lane 1, being overtaken. It's obviously going to pick up on the side of the cone that is your right hand side and illuminate the right hand indicator. If you're in the middle lane of a motorway and somebody overtakes you or undertakes you on the left hand side, same process but on the left hand side. If you're sat at a junction, and believe it or not, there is no one behind me, if you're sat at a junction or waiting in traffic like this and somebody approaches the rear of your bike at a greater velocity than you're doing, the system works out in a blink of an eye that somebody's coming up behind you and indicates on both of the left and the right indicators, and you get them flashing at the same time. Now, I like this system. There's lots of people that seem to say, you know, what's the point of having all this extra technology on your bike? There's really no point. You should be looking, you know, it's something added that might go wrong. What a waste of time. You should be looking in your mirrors. What this isn't doing is saying you don't need to look in your mirrors or your blind spot. What it's doing, and there's a car just leaving my blind spot now, and there you go. The red indicator is on, which is brilliant. It's not saying you don't have to look in your blind spot. It's saying that there is something in your blind spot. You might have missed it. If you've missed it, we're telling you it's there. Riding, don't care what you say, whether you like advanced riding or whether you don't, whether you think it's for you, whether you think it's not for you, you ride with the information you've got. You might not think that, but you can't go right through a red light because the information is red. When you go to overtake, you're not going to overtake in the path of an oncoming vehicle, and you're going to check your shoulder before you overtake. This is adding that bit of security, and look, it's flashing there, look. Flashing because somebody's come up behind me at a greater velocity, I'm stationary, they're moving, and it's now told me that they're there. And what I really like about it is the sun broke over the cloud. It was really bright then, but these LEDs really are bright. Really like the fact that they're pointed at my face and they're really bright. So what we're going to do is we are going to head to the dual carriageway and take a trip down there and see if it goes off at the right time when things are in my blind spot. Now I have noticed that white car on the right hand side of me coming past, it was illuminated and I could see it even in this bright sunlight, which I'm really chuffed about actually. And I've also noticed that if somebody is going past you on the right or the left, so obviously going faster than you, but obviously on the right hand side or the left hand side, the relevant indicator comes on, but when they're in your blind spot, the indicator light or the LED stays on, which I think is really good. It doesn't flash, it stays on, because I don't want to be hugely distracted. I just want to know that there's something there. But if somebody comes up behind you at a greater velocity and the system picks it up, both of them flash. And I think that's really quite a good idea, because you're not hell-bent on seeing, oh, everything is flashing all the time. You know that if it's flashing, somebody's coming right up behind you. If it's on all the time, you know somebody's overtaking you or undertaking you, which is great. So let's get up to a little bit of speed here. Now, we're in the UK, and the speed limit for a dual carriageway and motorway, or national speed limit for the UK, is 70. Now, I'm not going to do 70. I'm going to just sit nicely behind this van at 60. I've got more than enough protection, and in my mirror there is a 4x4 vehicle coming up. It's still in my mirror, still in my mirror, still in my mirror, and he's just left my mirror, or ish, and that light is on. Now everything seems to be slowing down again, but that's really good, because I've now got a white car in my mirror, still in my, now he's, yeah, and a Range Rover, and the red light is coming on. And you can see how well that LED is shining in my face. I think it's an exceptional bit of kit. So just before we get off this junction, we're going to spin around and go back up. There is a brownie, goldy, bronzy, there he is. Now, where I've got my radar, it's indicating to me that somebody is coming up at a greater velocity on my right hand side just before they leave my mirror, so therefore in my blind spot. So probably got about half of their vehicle in my blind spot, which I think is really good, actually. I don't want it to happen as soon as they are in the mirror, because that would be going off all the time. I don't want it to happen as soon as they leave, because I might miss something. I want it to happen kind of where it's happening, to be honest. Now there's somebody coming up faster behind, so I'm hoping that shines up both of them. There we go. And that flashed both of them to warn me that somebody was behind me coming up. I'm going to do it again. That's picked it up that it was on the right hand side then. So we're going to go round this roundabout, and we're going to go back up the A30. See if we can get a few more people to overtake. Right, so we're going to join the dual carriageway. So I'm just going to check there's no one there. Pull out. And we're just going to sit at 60 miles an hour behind this car, quite happy. There are cars coming up behind. So I have got a car coming up behind me, and he's indicated or illuminated my lights. And because I'm looking full ahead, straight ahead, I mean, you know, sometimes when you're riding, same as when you're driving, you will drift off. You'll think, how did I get there? Now you should be concentrating all the time, but it's human nature to be distracted by some things. I, like everybody else, gets distracted. I make mistakes all the time. However, here I am riding along. Oh, and there's my light. It catches my attention, and there's somebody in my blind spot. There we are. So look, got somebody on our right. Somebody coming up behind us, which should flash. There we go. And I'm hoping that at some point on the left-hand side there, look, that little MR2, brilliant. And that's why I wanted to come here. However, what I was saying is the wire that comes out of the box that goes to the left indicator and the right indicator, the wire is really, really tiny. It's great because you can feed it through lots of tiny holes. It feels good quality. It doesn't feel like really cheap. It doesn't feel like if you pull it, it's going to snap. And obviously, the more tension you put on it, the more likelihood there is that it snaps. But it's really well made. Got a real nice feel to it. It's really tiny. However, the wire is there is no ability for you to disconnect the wire from the main box or from the little indicators. And for me, that hasn't been an issue, because on the RT there are so many spaces and so many little nooks and crannies you can feed it through, and nearly all of them, well, all of them are big enough for me to put the actual LED indicator unit through. However, there are going to be some bikes and some people that don't want to take panels off bikes, that they want to feed it through, so they stick that onto a bit of wire and put the wire through and pull it all the way back through to get it through the hole. Now, that might present a bit of a problem because you're pulling quite a big unit through, potentially on bikes, there's not much space, a place where there isn't much of a space to pull it through. So I would love to see, just for ease of fitting on a bike, that those wires are able to be disconnected from the main box in some way, either clicked in or screwed in, just so that they're a little bit easier to maneuver, because basically you've got a spider's wedding sat on the bike until you're neating it all up. And I didn't want to damage those things either, because I don't want to scratch them. They look really nice, they're really well machined, they're really well made. I didn't want to scratch them. So that's the only drawback to me, and it's for me, and it's not a drawback at all. I think this system is really good. There's lots of people out there that go, what's the point in all this stuff? What a waste of money, what a waste of time, it doesn't work. Tell that to all the manufacturers of cars, and now people like Ducati and people like that that are actually putting them on the mirrors. If they were a waste of time, they wouldn't be fitting them, would they? And now INNOVV, I think, have been quite innovative, hence the word INNOVV, I suppose, to make a system that's really easy to fit on a bike. Now, it's about £250, something like that. Might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more, and you might say it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but it's really well made, it's really well machined. Once it's fitted, you set it and forget it, but it gives you all of that indication right at the time that you might need it. And it might be that you're going for an overtake and you have checked your shoulder, but you haven't noticed what's there, and that will give you an indication. And I'm up for anything, just being a little bit safer and giving you that little bit of a better chance of staying alive when you're on the road. And who wouldn't? So I think it was Baz Luhrmann, actually, in the 90s, that said, your body is the greatest instrument you'll ever own, look after it, or something like that. Fantastic song, and all those things are so true. Now, it is the best instrument you'll ever own, and why wouldn't you want to look after it? So yes, I've done all the advanced training, you know, I'm out tutoring people all the time, but I make mistakes all the time. And I think if you say, I don't make mistakes when I'm riding, then it's time to put the keys away, put the bike in the garage, and never go out on it again, because we always make mistakes. But for something like this, relatively inexpensive, to be fitted onto the bike, to give you that peace of mind and to give you that extra bit of information when you plan your ride. And I don't care whether you don't do advanced riding, whether you think advanced riding is a waste of time, you always plan your ride in some way. Whatever you do, the information is ahead of me, I've got a corner, so I'm going to go around the corner. If you don't do it in an advanced way, you're still planning to go around the corner, you're planning for an overtake. This will help you decide whether that overtake is right at the split second, where it might make all the difference. Now, if you want to get one of these, we'll put the link in the description. INNOVV are doing a bit of a discount for you. Use the code, I think it's RCTV, but we will put that on the screen. Head over to the website, get yours. It's really simple to fit. It comes really quickly, really well made, and their customer service, should you get any issues, is really, really good. But ultimately, you're going to get a system that you can fit on your bike that gives you that added benefit of that bit of information you might need at a certain time that might just help you save your life. Anyway, I like it, as I think you could probably hear. So give us a thumbs up, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you in the next video.